Howdy friends, my name's Jason. Let's go fishing. We're at a cool lake today. It's really interesting. You can probably see behind me there's some interesting geology. We are in Washington State, but I am on the east side of the Cascades today instead of the west. Today we're targeting trout. There's rainbows in this lake, there's browns in this lake. I've caught both here before. I've heard there are tiger trout in this lake, although I've never seen one or caught one here. It's been quite a while since I've been to this lake, well over a year. It's a solid 4-hour drive for me each way to get out here from where I live, so it's not exactly an easy day trip, but I figured I'd give it a shot. As I'm filming this, it is the last weekend in October, and hopefully these fish are hungry and trying to fatten up for the winter. With all that said, we're going to start off with a leech under an indicator, and I'll show you how I get that set up. That's a bummer. Somebody had a bad day. All right, so I've got my 10-foot 6-weight Echo Stillwater. That's my go-to lake rod. If all you've got is a 9-foot 5-weight, that's fine. It'll absolutely work. Floating line. I've got that on a Rio indicator leader with a quick release bobber. That goes down to a little swivel, which acts as a bobber stop. Of course, my fly is getting hooked up on everything. And down to a little balanced jig head leech. The slip indicator is key, especially if you're fishing deeper than your rod is long. So if you're fishing 12, 13, 15 feet of water and you've only got a 9-foot rod, if you don't have the slip indicator, you'll only be able to bring that fish in to your indicator. This one, when you catch a fish, it pops and it'll slide all the way down to your swivel, which keeps it out of your fish's face and allows you to bring that fish in nice and close to the boat. Let's go give it a shot. All right, I want to target this little point right here. We're sitting in about 15 feet of water. I'm using the Rio indicator leader, which has a color change where the taper stops. I'm always going to set my bobber right at that color change. I know that from that color change to my swivel is about 7 feet, and then I've got another 2 feet-ish of tippet tied onto the swivel. That means I'm only going to be fishing about 9 feet deep in 15 feet of water, and I want to get right down on the bottom. So what I'm going to do is add another 3 feet, and where I'm going to add that is between the swivel and the leader. I'm going to leave the tippet alone. I've got my length of tippet off. I'm just going to tie a triple surgeons. Could have left myself a little bit more of a tag in there to make this a little easier. I'm just going to tie my fly back on at the swivel. For that, I have to use a simple clench knot. Seems to work just fine for me. Cut off the tag, make sure that stays out of the water. And we're ready to fish. Alright, I've repositioned myself back off this little point here. Let's get it cast out there and start fishing. feisty in this lake. This guy doesn't want to come up. Deep six and like it's a brown maybe, that'd be cool. Man, he does not want to quit. He didn't like that. Oh, you son of a gun. That was a good fish, of course. And part of the problem I had with that fight was my bobber didn't pop. I had it set too tight. That was a nice trout. Fly looks good. Leader feels good. You just unbuttoned. So the entire reason to run a slip indicator setup is so that that doesn't happen. But I set my peg too tight and I couldn't reel in that fish any further, and that's what happens. That was a nice fish. You know what? I'm not ready. I'm not quite ready to be done yet. Something that just happened to me that it's going to be hard to show it on camera. That last cast out over here, I popped my bobber on the cast. And I'm currently using a scientific angler. I think it's a Titan Long. I can't remember the exact name of it. A great line, casts these indicator rigs really well. But the tip of the line is like a moss green or an olive green color, and it's really hard to see it on the water. I'd love it if they made this line with a high-vis tip so you can see where the end of your line is in comparison to where your bobber's floating. I have used in the past the Rio Stillwater floater. I really like that line a lot, and it has a bright orange 3-foot tip section. I don't know, I might end up going back to that sooner than later just because of the color. Both lines cast great. They both do exactly what you would expect a good floating line to do. But just the color difference can actually, I don't know, I mean, how many fish have I maybe missed because my indicator popped? while I was casting. It's hard to say. There we go. Feels like a smaller fish. Even the little ones want to fight on this lake. Come on, little fella. Just a little guy. See you later, bud. Don't you love it when the fishing picks up right when it's time to go? Oh well, it is what it is. Suppose I should show you those last few fish I caught was on this guy. The big one I lost and the last two I put in the net. So it's a hot orange or fluorescent orange tungsten head turner bead, size 10 pro tire jig hook, some spawn semi seal in, I think it's cutthroat cush, and then a olive pine squirrel zonker tail. Say that 3 times fast. They seem to like this one here, though. At least they do this afternoon. Today turned into a bit of a grinder. Filming this outro in my truck because it's pretty windy out there and nobody wants to listen to that. At least we got to say hi to a few fish. Did lose the one big one, but we got to see it, so that's cool. Hopefully you learned a thing or two about indicator fishing on still waters, and you might have learned a thing or two not to do watching me lose that big fish. If you watched this far, think about hitting that subscribe button. Give me that thumbs up if you enjoy it, and we'll see you on the next one.